Hello and welcome to my Stamina Templar PvP build for the non-champion points and no proc campaign. I'm gonna show you what I choose to run. Just a quick look into the character screen. I choose Imperial. I have 30 points in health and 34 points in stamina. Other alternative races would be Nord if you want more tankiness, Orc for more damage and maybe speed. Dark Elf is good, but on Templar I actually prefer Imperial. The Mondos we are using is Serpent for more stamina recovery, Buff Food is also Gosmog Beerhunch for the Magicka and stamina recovery and maximum health. Then obviously stage 3 Vampire for the Undeath passive, just too broken not to have. Potions we are using just normal Tri-Stat. Of course you can use Heroism one, but those are expensive. If you can afford them, go for this. And down Backbar we running the usual Escapist poisons, giving us 4.4 seconds of crowd control immunity when it procs, and the target we hit with it gets immobilized. Usually while kiting I do a lot of heavy attacks to sustain my stamina, so this poison will proc a lot and give you free CC immunity, also saving up on of course stamina, because you can't get stunned during that time. Yeah, armor sets, one piece Magma in Reinforced Medium. Reinforced Medium is maybe not the best choice, but that's the one I had. Actually, I reconstructed it, I don't know. Probably, I mean, Reinforced is still fine, but maybe you're better off with maybe well fitted or sturdy, depending on you. Even Impen, I mean, Impen is not really worth it. So either you get Reinforced, you can even go Divines, sturdy or well fitted. Of course, with the Prismatic Enchant to max out our stats. Then we have Ancient Dragon Guard on our body, always up. We have the heavy reinforced chest. Ancient Dragon Guard I really like. It gives you a mixture of both offensive and defensive. You get 300 weapon and spell damage while being above 50% and 3500 while being below 50%, and like a small pariah you get there while also having some offensive power. And on top you also get weapon damage, you get a little bit of crit chance, and you get also health. So I prefer actually Ancient Dragon Guard over Pariah, but that's up to you. Also Ancient Dragon Guard is craftable, so I can craft it in different weights, and just to match my desired armor weights. Then we have it heavy chest. Then we have Ancient Dragon Guard Greaves, also in heavy and reinforced, and we have a medium well-fitted helmet, all also with Prismatic Enchant. The other 5-piece we are running only front bar is Deadly. Oh no, Ancient Dragon Guard also on jewelry, 2 times Bloodthirsty with the spell damage enchant. Why spell damage? Because with the hybridization everything scales over our maximum offensive stat, and Templar gets minus sorcery, so our spell damage will always be higher than weapon damage, and that's why we go spell damage. Bloodthirsty, we don't run any executioner, so Bloodthirsty here to compensate that we don't have an executor. So while the enemy gets lower HP, our damage will increase higher, and Bloodthirsty will outperform an infused trait at about, I think it's between 60 and 70% HP. So that's really good. The other set, as I already mentioned, is Deadly. We have it on the shoes, on the belt, and on the braces. All are well fitted with the Prismatic Enchant, and then we have the Deadly Maul on front bar and sharpened with the Berserker Enchant. Pretty no-brainer for Stamina Templar, increasing our jab damage by 15%, also giving us 2 times weapon and spell damage and 1 time crit chance. Perfect to run it only on front bar. And since we only run it on front bar, we need some defensive 2-piece back bar, and I just choose Adept Rider. It's a crafted set. It will give you 1500 armor. There are some alternatives. You can also go with Potentates, which will give you 3% damage mitigation from enemy players, but those damage mitigation is actually additive, so we also have an access to minor protection, so the 3% from Potentates will not be full 3%, and that's where I think that actually the 1500 armor will be better, because I think it's 6600 armor is 1% mitigation, so we already get close to 3% mitigation just by these just from the armor we get from this set. I just prefer this. It's really just a super small difference, but this will probably provide the highest mitigation you can get for a 2-piece backbar. And the mythic Ring of Magistry, also in Bloodthirsty with the spell damage. We do want crit on this damage because our crit chance is actually pretty high, it's 28%. So we want Markin giving us 200 weapon spell damage and 2.3k armor, so making us more tanky, since we are also in 5 medium, 2 heavy. And when we look at our stats, we sit at close to 29k physical resist for a medium armor build. That's pretty damn high. And our crit chance front bar 28%, and with our weapon, with our rally up, we sit just by rally we sit at 5600 spell damage. That's high. If we proc our weapon damage enchant, it's close to 6k, and wait, we need this, and then we also need to of course proc minor sorcery, so we already 6k spell damage. When we proc our weapon damage enchant, it's 6.5 spell damage, and with continuous attack it's 7k spell damage. So we have 7k spell damage, 3 times Bloodthirsty, and we have Deadly on front bar, giving us pretty high damage on our biting jabs, and also while maintaining 29k resist in medium armor. That's pretty tanky. Yeah. While we added skills, of course, biting jabs giving us like the AoE pressure, applies major brutality and major sorcery. So you could actually drop rally, but I will come to that later. Why I kept actually rally. So biting jabs, then we have purifying light. Power of the light doesn't work because it doesn't scale off spell damage. I don't know why that hasn't been hybridized yet, but here we have purifying light. For the delayed explosion, you apply it to someone, then pressure him with all your damage, and after some time the purifying light will explode and apply the copied damage as a burst. Here we have kind of a flex spot. I picked Binding Javelin here for the single target stun, but you have more choices. You could put Razor Caltrops for some AoE Major Fracture, because we don't have Major Fracture on that build. Pretty handy in group. You can also go with the Turn the Evil Stun and AoE Fear. Also will increase your spell damage even further if you have it on front bar slotted. That's up to you. Yeah, just play whatever you prefer or like your group needs. Then we have Camouflaged Hunter for the major savagery, giving out the increased crit chance, and also minor berserk when we crit someone from the flank. That's usually with jab, can happen pretty often. If you jab into a group of people, then it's up quite fast. And here we have Rally. Rally here will be part of our burst here. that we can just recast to get a burst heal. We get major brutality and sorcery. And I picked Rally because this is 10 seconds duration, like the major brutality you get from this 10 seconds. And sometimes you get tryharded for like 20 seconds, maybe even longer. You're kiting in a tower for 2 minutes, having like 10 people on you, and then you just can't afford to cast biting jabs every 10 seconds for a useless cast to get your major sorcery buff up. So that's why I picked Rally. And also it giving us our burst heal, because for me the magical sustain isn't enough to run the Templar burst heal. I choose Rally, and also it's more like a traditional old veteran playstyle of the Stamina Templar, which I just prefer in general. The ult Dawnbreaker of Smiting, I have that here for the AoE stun it provides, but Sweep, Crash and Sweep will also be a nice choice. Really cheap, big AoE pressure and high damage. Then coming to our Backbar, we have Restoring Focus. That's our armor buff, and also restoring a huge amount of stamina over some time while it's active. Plus, if you are standing in it, like you can camp it, you get a heal every 1 second based on your maximum health. Then we have Elude, giving us major evasion, 20% less damage from every AoE we get. And if you combine that with 29k resistance plus major evasion and all the healings we have running, like we have our extended ritual, we have restoring focus, we have the bubble, you're pretty damn tanky on that build. And that's the usual playstyle I go for, but while we also can reach up to 7k spell damage. Then, as I said, the bubble, Living Dark. The healing got kind of let's say it got nerfed. It doesn't scale off anything yet. It's more like a flat value. But the only things that actually do still have an effect on the healing is like healing done, healing received, those kind of things. And here we have a tooltip of 2 plus a 2.5. If we stand in our rune, which will give us minor mending, it's 2.6. So the healing of that bubble is still really strong, and they extended the duration to 12 seconds. So you can just enable it and you're pretty much safe for those 12 seconds. Obviously in noCP the damage income is much higher, so that's not a no-brainer I don't die button anymore. But it's still a lot of healing you get from it. Combine that with Resolving Vigor and you have an insane amount of healing over time. So here, Resolving Vigor. Then we have Extended Ritual to just purge many negative effects we don't want. And also giving us that huge cycle of healing over time. Provide a synergy to our allies, which they can use to purge every negative effect of them and get a small healing. We purge 5 negative effects when casting this, and kinda must have on Templar. The defensive ult is here Spell Wall, more like a selfish skill, but it's the best defensive skill you have. If you want, you can of course go for Rite of Passage to give like the big AoE healing to your group mates, but usually that's not necessary, also slows you down by a lot, so I prefer Spell Wall here. CPs obviously don't matter here. I hope I covered all. So far, Stamina Templar is pretty fun. Not playing it often, but I wanted to give you that updated build, because so far it's pretty fun to play and strong.
I love this shit. Look.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. On I'm in between the things. The fuck are they called? Trees! What the fuck was that? Oh, the ants here. Ah, killing blow. Nice. Five versus a whole Zerg with amp. Okay. Oh, we're actually 6, huh?
We got